What I get in Swami?
That's 7 minutes remaining. And they left doing
Hello. Hello.
Hello,
Hello,
boss.
good afternoon.
Hey, my God.
Good
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. Good
evening.
evening.
We are loyal, sir.
Welcome to this session.
Thank you very much for having us.
Sorry, I'm joining late. I was trying to set up the packet tracer environment so I can show it to you guys. Yesterday I couldn't access the packet tracer software because it was prompting me to sign into my NetAccount account. So I did, but it was still not showing the environment. So most times, whenever it pops up like that, let me share my screen. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Please confirm if you can see my screen. Hello?
Yeah, boss. I can hear you and I can see your screen.
Okay, so
Yeah, I can see your
yesterday
screen.
I was talking about Packet Tracer being the network simulation tool that we use to test configurations. Or sometimes when a new technology is to be provisioned into an existing environment, most times we get to test it in this environment first before going live, right? So we don't mess things up. Do you understand? So I was
Please,
talking
I
about
want to check
logic.
something.
Okay, no problem. So yesterday I was talking about logical and physical topologies here. Where's that particular slide? Okay, yeah. So here I was trying to tell us the difference between logical and physical topologies. That physical topologies just only show the structure of the building, just like we have here, right? It shows the structure of the building. It tells the names of the rooms or the apartments. Like in this case, now this is a classroom, classroom one, classroom two, and it just shows the devices, right? So it's not giving a detailed information of what to be configured on what, right? But the logical topology, this is physical topology, but the logical topology is going to show you everything. In a glance, you would know what to do when you see it. In this case now, you can see this is a DMZ. DMZ is an acronym for demilitarized zone. It's a zone for servers, basically. So this is a file server, this is an email server, this is a web server, depending on the kind of servers you have or the services running on each of the servers, right? So automatically, you know, when you see this, you know that this is a particular VLAN. This is a VLAN for classroom one, a VLAN for classroom two, and a VLAN for classroom three. So the interface too that will be connecting them, this is a gigabit interface. That means the gigabit interface is telling you that that interface connecting to the router or the switch is running at 1000 Mbps. Okay, we are still going to be talking about this in the later slides. We need to know the difference between Ethernet. We have Ethernet, and we have fast Ethernet too. We have fast Ethernet and we have gigabit Ethernet. So Ethernet is a 10 Mbps speed. Fast Ethernet is 100 Mbps. While gigabit Ethernet is 1000. So now the gigabit Ethernet technology has improved. So we now have an interface that can run that's the speed as high as 10 gig per second. I think I've seen 40 gig per second too. Right. So that's it. So I just want to show you what this looks like. I'll show you a lab that I did recently for a mini, like a company. Let me, where's that thing again? Okay. So this is the packet tracer. This is a very, I shared this with you guys. So I believe by now you must have installed it on your PCs. So this is the route,
Yes.
these are routers. When you come here, you see these are routers. So you see different routers, right? Starting from the right here is the oldest model of router. So on the left, you have the newest model. So when you, let's take the newest one here, this is a router. This is not how a router looks like in real life. This is not what it looks like. Let me see if I still have the pictures of the one side. I just configured one on Friday, that's 2 days ago. Did I take the picture of it? Uh, right, I'm trying to see if I took a picture of it. I did not. Uh, I thought I did. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to send it to the group for you to just see what they're. It's not showing properly, but okay, yeah, it's showing. It's showing. So I'll send it to the group for you guys to just see what the router looks like. Physically, what if this is just the logical representation, the image in the software. So when you click on it, you see the physical look. This is how it looks like in real life. You can zoom it in to see these are the interface, right? You can see that you plug the network cables to. And this place, they call all these empty spaces, they call it modules. You can see this one is empty, they call it modules. Modules in the sense that if these four routers don't usually have many interface, they don't used to have many interface, but depending on the use case, if you require more, or most times enterprise don't usually use much interface. But on the service provider end, because they have many customers, so they usually want to overload the router. So they want to buy modules, to fill in this place. So you can actually come to any of this place. You put the router up first, you come to here and say put it up. And you put it up, drag it down to this place, and you can drag any of these interface now. Let's say this here, so compatible. Let's see, you can see now, this is in there, that is dragged. You can actually drag this to here. You can move it back if you don't want, and put this one in. You can see. That's to increase, you now have 4 ports here. Before it was 4, just this 4. So you have additional for making 8. So you can take this out to and put this here to make it 12. Right. So you're adding more functionality to the server. Sorry, to the router. So by doing this, you're overloading the router because, well, of course, if you want to do something like this, it has to be a router that has enough hardware resources to carry the workload, enough RAM and enough storage space, right? So that's it. This is a router. This is a switch. This is a Catalyst 2960 switch. That's what the switch looks like. Then this is what the switch looks like. You can see the interfaces. Then this is a multi-layer switch. You can see the difference between a layer 2 switch. This one is layer 2. This is layer 2. And this is layer 3. A multi-layer switch can act, it can do the functionality of these two. It can act as layer 2 and it can act as layer 3. A router is a layer 3 device. Right? So this switch can act as a router and can also act as a switch. That's why they call it a multi-layer switch. So when we get to, you understand what we mean, what I mean by layers when we get to the topic. In networking, we have 7 layers. Right? In networking, there are 7 layers, starting from the physical layer, that's layer 1, to the data link layer, to the network layer, to the transport layer, to the session layer, to presentation layer, and application layer. So we are going to treat all that in detail in the next topic. That's topic 2. Right. So you come here as well, you're going to see this is a printer. This is what a printer looks like. These are their logical representation of a physical print. The physical printer you see, this is what packages are depicted to be. So in this simulation software, when you see this, you know it's a printer. This is a server. When you see this, you know this is a server. All right, so this is an IP phone. You can see, for those that know what an intercom is, I've seen an intercom before. Okay, I'm sending it to the group. I'm sending an image to the group for you guys to see. I just did, so it will drop shortly. That's how it is. Then what else again? We have a smart TV. This is what a smart TV looks like. This is a tablet. This is what the tablet looks like. And this is what a smartphone looks like as well. Right. So what else? This is a laptop. This is what the laptop looks like. So this is what the desktop looks like. As you can see, a lot of them, right? So talking of connections, when we get to this topic, I'll show you guys the kind of connections to use, the kind of network media you use to connect to, which network media that you use to connect to which device, depending on the kind of interface that the device is using. So different interface requires different kind of network media to connect them. And the kind of converters that we have, sometimes you may not really have that kind of direct connection to the media, but you use a converter. Right. So this is what all the networking equipments that we talked about yesterday looks like. So now let's move to today's business. Right. We stopped here. Yesterday we talked about a lot yesterday. The types of networks, network devices. We talked about intranet, extranet, and internet, the differences. Then we talked about the kind of internet connection access that are available in today's network. We talked about converged network as well. And we talked about what makes a network reliable, right? The characteristics that makes a network reliable: fault tolerance, scalability, QoS, and security. So today we'll be looking at network trends. When you say network trends, I'm talking about the trends in networking. What are the new trends that were not in networking, or they just emerged in the few years back? Right. So one of them is the BYOD. Yes, BYOD is the current, they call it bring your own device. It's a new concept in networking where everybody comes with their own device. So in this kind of network, of course, it has its own security issues, right? Because everybody's working with their personal devices in this case, not with the official device. Like you resuming a job now and they are giving you an official laptop to work with. In this case, it's not like that. I've seen many jobs like that, especially those remote jobs where you have to work with your devices. You're expected to have laptop. It's ready to have tabs, depending on the task that you are given, right? So if you are working remotely, for instance, and you are being assigned a task to work with, so the company that you want to work with, that company should have their policies. They have their BYOD policies. You might have to install some. They will tell you their hardware requirements. Your laptop must have this installed, you must have this installed, you must have this. Like the hardware, your RAM must be maybe 16 gig minimum. Your hard drive should be probably 512 gig minimum. Then the CPU speed should be maybe 2.30 gigahertz speed minimum. And they will give you all their requirements, right? That you have to abide with to be able to work with them. Not just hardware requirements, there are security requirements too as well. They'll tell you to disable some things, you have to install these, you have to install that. You might have an IT guy that will take remote of your laptop and install those things. You are using your device actually, not the official device that's assigned to you. Do you get? So in this case, we don't have to, it's a way of saving costs for the company. Like they don't have to start buying or investing into assets like buying laptops for users. Because in the advanced world, almost everybody have laptops. Just like say you don't have a phone now in Nigeria, people be like, I don't understand. You get? So you're expected to have a laptop. Having a laptop is a norm like in advanced countries. So why still buy a laptop for the person again when they all have their personal laptops? Fine, you might think of privacy that it's the person's personal files are there. Fine, but the kind of tax that will be assigned to you would not affect your files, your personal files in any way. So the idea of bringing your own device is very, very much in trend now, right? So we have online collaborations too. Before now, there used to be, video calls through VoIP, that's voice over internet protocol devices. It has to be through VoIP devices. But these days, we have softwares now that does this, not even a hardware. We don't know, it's not about having an intercom device that can do a video conference now. We have softwares that do that. WhatsApp it's one of the kind of softwares that can do this. You can have an online kind of collaboration with people, with a group, right? If you can create a group and add users to it, and you guys will have your meetings, just like you can have on Teams as well. So just that WhatsApp is an informal kind of online collaboration software. So officially, most enterprise uses Teams. Some use Skype. So Skype has been retired now. So there are other online collaboration tools, but the most popular one is Teams. There's Avaya Workspace too as well that you can use to make video and voice calls, right? So it's just a way of enabling communication between within the organization, between departments within that organization. So they can collaborate using voice or video, and they can also have, there are other separate, aside Teams, there are other videos. Cisco have their own, they call it WebEx. Right? So now cloud, the new trend in networking is this cloud, right? Before there was no cloud. Back in like 4 or 5 years ago, there was nothing like cloud. The cloud just emerged like a few years ago, right? So, and it is now being adopted by almost every organization. There are reasons. The cloud has its advantage and has disadvantages as well. So let's look at them in detail. I'm talking of the bring your own device. Yes, so it allows users to bring their own devices, giving them more opportunities and a greater kind of flexibility. You don't have to start thinking of I'm using official laptop, some sites are blocked, or restrictions on my laptop, there are some things I cannot do, right? Even though you still have to browse with caution. The fact that you're using your devices does not mean you should just open anything, right? So you still need to work with cautions, but in this case, it's a way of saving costs for the company, right? Instead of them, most companies invest so much on these devices. They will buy headsets, they buy laptops for new users. Some are using MacBook, some like the salespeople now. Salespeople usually go about with tablets. They can't be going to the market with laptops. Some get smartphones so they can be sending and receiving emails on the go. Some use e-readers, or some even use headsets, right? Or things. All these things cost a lot to companies. And if you check the company, most companies' assets, they are taking about 60% of it, right? Because they are always in use. So while in use, they are likely to wear out, they're likely to develop faults, and the company buy another one like that. Unlike other infrastructure devices like a router or a switch or a firewall, that when you buy it, before they can have issues, you can use them for more than 5 years. So from time to time, the company invests on each of these items that you're seeing here. So with the idea of bringing your own device, and also it will observe that people take care of their devices more than they take care of the company's property. So it's a great way to save costs for the company, right? They have the freedom to work with their personal tools while still doing their job. So that's just it. So also we have the online collaboration I mentioned earlier. So the popular tool that I believe almost every of us here know is Teams. And that's what we are using to have this class now. Teams. So Teams has been built to be more powerful than what we think it is. It's more than just a collaboration tool. It's now a hub, right, for anything that has to do with collaboration within the organization, within and outside the organization, because we can allow external access through Teams. External users can join. Right, I'm currently using Teams, and you guys are joining as guests. You joined this session as guests. If I had created this meeting to be a private meeting, so only people within the organization will be able to connect to this training. But because I said no, I want to make it public. So people from outside the organization that don't even have Teams account or that don't have the company's account can join. Right. So we have many of them. WebEx, this is WebEx, this image is a WebEx, it's from WebEx. It has to do with Cisco. I know most of all, I've used it twice. I remember I used it back then when I was doing my Cisco CCNA training. It's also a free tool, right? That you can download and use. So it helps to collaborate and, get to communicate with your team and deliver whatever projects that it is that you guys have at hand together. And also, yeah, video calls. Okay, they're talking about video calls here that they are made to anyone regardless of where they are located. Yeah, that's part of what networking has enabled for us. Like I said yesterday, I don't know if you guys get that point. I said before now, we used to have IT. Later, CT came into play. So they were merged together. It came up ICT. Right. When it was IT, communication was limited to a particular geographical location. So communication technology has made IT borderless, right? So we can now call people from anywhere at any time, so long as they have internet. Right? So we can make video calls. Video calls is more like a one-to-one, unicast kind of communication, one-to-one kind of video calls. Then video conferencing is like a one-to-many kind of calls, right? You are calling several people, you are dialing into a meeting room just like we did today now that we're having this session. Right? So there are some meetings depending on what the subject of the meeting is. Some meetings are done with just voice, while some are actually done in video form. Right. So this is Cisco WebEx. You can see they have a VC device. They have a VC device, and the VC device is capturing everybody working. So now I'm talking of cloud computing. This is a very big topic, actually. But it's a part in IT on its own. So cloud computing allows us to store personal files or backup our data on servers over the internet. Applications can also be accessed using the cloud. It allows businesses to deliver to any device anywhere in the world. So we have cloud computing providers, actually. And there are about 3 major providers. So there are many of them, about 7 or so. There are 3 popular major providers. One of them is Microsoft. The second is Amazon, that's AWS. And we have Google Cloud. So these are the 3 big names in cloud computing. We have others too, like what they call these guys. I've forgotten them. These guys that built NetSuite. Oracle. Yeah. Oracle is also one of them. There's Oracle Cloud. There are many of them. There's Citrix Cloud too. Many of them like that. Right. So but these are the 3 major names: Microsoft, Google, and Amazon. They are the 3 big guys in cloud computing. So whenever you hear people saying I'm a cloud engineer or I'm a cloud architect, whatever certifications they are doing is actually relating to either Amazon or Microsoft or Google. Right. So smaller companies can afford their own data centers. Yes, all these 3 major guys I mentioned, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, they have their data centers all over the world. Sometimes around last year, Microsoft left Nigeria, but that does not mean that Nigerians cannot use the cloud. Right. So they have a data center that is serving Nigeria. Not in Nigeria, but it's close to Nigeria. It can be in Ghana, it can be in Ivory Coast. It's in Africa anyways, a neighboring country. Right. So there are many advantages of the cloud, and it has its disadvantages as well too. Just to tell you that networking made this cloud computing possible. Right. It's just to let you know that it's part of the trends in networking. There was nothing like a cloud before. Networking bettered this. It was networking that gave birth to cloud. So if you're a cloud engineer and you don't understand what networking is, you're not a cloud engineer. So that's just so if you are thinking of building a career in the cloud or working in the cloud parts, then you're in the right path. Networking is what you need to learn first before embarking on it. So yes, talking of cloud types. Okay, these guys are even going deep. Talking of cloud types, there are different types of cloud. Yes, we have public cloud, we have private cloud, and we have hybrid cloud. Now, when you say public, you're talking of a cloud type that's okay. So a cloud is just somebody's network. Let me demystify it so you can get it better. A cloud is just a network that is somewhere, or should I say another person's network, that you are using the services. Do you understand? So take for instance, I am using Google, for instance. Google has a data center somewhere, maybe in US or so, and I'm in Nigeria, right? I'm in Nigeria. I have a Google account, a free Google account. So when you have a Gmail account, you have 15 gig free storage space on the cloud that you can back up your files to. So all you just need to do is to download Google Client on your software, on your phone. Sorry, you download the client software, which is the Google Gmail app, or Gmail. Just download Gmail app. So it comes with it. When you download it comes with it. Google Contact, Google Drive, Google Calendar, Gmail, everything comes with it together. Or you can actually still log into it from your browser. So you're logging into the client from your browser. It gives you access to the server, the storage server. So a particular portion of the server has been allotted to every free account. And that's 15 gig for every user. Right? So you can put your files there and they will be there till the next 200 years. And anytime you need to access those files, all you just need to do is to put the right username and password on your phone on the Google portal, and you access those files. You can download them back if you want. So Google spends money in maintaining all the data center devices, like their servers. They spend money in powering the servers, ensuring the servers are having their, they are running their health checks on these servers to ensure that they are cool. They have ACs in the server rooms there. They have the security devices that are guiding those your data that you put there on the internet for free. And they also have they have NOC engineers, or should I say SOC engineers. They call them Security Operations Center engineers. They monitor these servers from time to time to ensure that they are not compromised. And you are here using it for free, just putting your files in there. Right. So when you exhaust that particular 15 gig that is allotted to your account, you can actually buy more space. Then you can now start paying. Right. So Google is a public cloud. It is accessible to everybody. When you say something is public, both are bulky and everybody can access it, whether you're in Nigeria or not. It's free. Right. Some of the services, most of the services on the public cloud are even free, except that you have exceeded the limit that is allotted to you, then you can now start paying. Right. So talking of private cloud is the cloud that is owned by an enterprise or a firm. And it is only accessed by the staffs of that company, the staff of the organization. See what they said? They said it's intended for a specific organization or entity such as the government. Here's an example. If you're a government staff, you can access whatever it is that the files in there, so long as you have the right username, passwords, and other multi-factor authentication requirements. So if your company has a cloud and you are a staff you are a legitimate staff, you are giving a staff ID that you can sign in with to access resources on the cloud, then you're using a private cloud. A private cloud is not public. It's not like Gmail that anybody can just open and start using. So you have to be a staff of that entity to be able to access resources on that private cloud. So for some reasons, some companies combine the two together. They use private and public cloud together. So that's an hybrid in this case. Right? For some of their parts, depending on what the organization is trying to achieve, some of their resources on the cloud are made private, while some are made public. So that's just what an hybrid cloud is. An hybrid cloud combines the functionality of both the public and private cloud together. So custom cloud, talking of custom cloud is just like a way of customizing your cloud to meet your company's requirements. Yes, you can actually sit back and meet some developers that you want to design this and you want it to be on the cloud, you want it to be accessible only to your staff, or you are using a particular application and you want it to be on the cloud so it can be accessed by other entities that are outside Lagos. Maybe your head office is in Lagos and you want other entities or other branch offices that you have. So most companies that are very big have presence in another country. Some have in US, they have in Canada, they are like that. So we can't be using VPN all the time to point to Lagos. Everybody's pointing to Lagos. Everybody's pointing. So it makes the whole thing messed up. So in this case, they can host the major software that they use for their business on the cloud. While everybody, people in US can access, people in Canada can access, people like it makes it easy. So all they need to just meet some cloud engineers to customize it for them. You understand? So that's how it is. So now this is another trend in technology, in network technology, sorry. One of the major trends, but it has not yet been used here in Nigeria. I've not seen it, but I've been hearing of it. They call it the smart home technology. We said it's a growing trend that allows technology to be integrated into everyday appliance, which allows them to interconnect with other devices. Right? So ovens might know what time to cook a meal for you by communicating with your calendar. If you have a calendar, it's usually linked to it. So cases like this is more like an IoT, right? Where you have a software that has an API that can talk to your team's calendar. So if you have booked in your calendar that you want to cook maybe rice you want to cook rice for dinner, for instance. So once it's there and you book an appointment or a meeting, right? It tells it just book your schedule and it tells the app, and the app would talk to the IoT device and it would work it out for you. But I really don't know how this works because somebody has to still put fish and other things, all the ingredients into the pot to make all this possible, right? But to me, what I've seen so far in this part of the world, the smart home technology that I've seen so far is through the use of, I think they have two major smart home providers. I've seen Google and I've seen Google. I think is it Alexa they use? Yeah. Google uses Alexa, then Apple uses Siri. You just tell Siri, hey Siri, off the lights, and Siri will off the lights. Hey Siri, open the door, like that. So all these devices are connected. There's a chip connected to them that makes them to talk to the control software in the house. And it uses internet access to talk to the AI agent. So when you talk to the AI agent, it reads meaning to what you say because AI understands what you're saying. Then it sends the signal to the board and the board just communicates to that particular thing you want it to do and it will be done. Right? So that's why most times you see people saying, hey Siri, open the curtain, turn on blue light, and you see it just come up. But this one that is cooking, I've not seen this in this part of the world. I'm not saying it's not possible, it is, but I've not seen it. But I've seen a couple of smart home technologies work here in Nigeria. So that's part of the new trends in computer networking. Right. So power line, this is another technology I don't think it exists here in Nigeria as well. It's the kind of computer networking that allows you to connect devices together through power cables. Just like we run network cables everywhere, we don't, in the case of power line, we don't run network cable. Right. So you don't even need to run anything. It's the same wires, those same electrical wires that are carrying electrical signals to your light, your TV, your laptop, your sound system that is providing internet. So they said using a standard power line adapter. So devices can connect to the LAN wherever there is an electrical outlet by sending data on certain frequencies. So I've not seen this also in this part of the world where you just connect your device to the power and you get internet access. You're connecting your access points to your power source and there's internet. So in this part of the world, this has not been used so far, but it's part of the trend in networking, and definitely it is currently in use in other parts of the world, in advanced countries. Yes, wireless broadband, yes, we have this in Nigeria. Yes, there was a time, I don't know if you guys heard of someone new free Wi-Fi. If you've heard of this, there was a time it was trending very well in Ikeja, in Oshodi, Ajegunle, and some other parts of Lagos. They call it someone new free Wi-Fi. They call it express Wi-Fi, right? So they have a very big radio on the mast that is distributing the wireless signal in that particular location. So they can have just one mast that will cover the whole of, let's say the whole of VI, right? So they have one. It's a very powerful radio, those radios that can travel 100 to 200 kilometers. So they have just one there and they configure the Wi-Fi thing on it. So all you just need to do is go online and buy Express Wi-Fi voucher. Buy the voucher. When you buy the voucher, you push the voucher with your username and password. Then when you try to log in, it allows you to go in. Because the voucher is mapped to the account that you've already created with them. So it covers everywhere. I remember when I used to stay in Namapa, it was, in fact, it was at the back of my house. So someone who made his own he made it free. All you just need to do to sign in is to go to his Facebook page and like his page and follow him. When you like his page and follow him, automatically, you just get connected to this free Wi-Fi. He was right at the back of my compound. Like the next street was, the signal was very strong in my from our place. So some people provide internet through this form. We call them wireless ISP. Right? They provide to residents and they provide to enterprise. So what they do is in cases where the office is very far from where the mast is, they will just do a mini tower here and put the radio here. Some will have a mast and put something like this here. Then this radio will be acting as a station. They call it a station. Then the other radio on this end that will bring internet to this building will be acting as an access point. So this radio, there's what they call line of sight. There's going to be line of sight between this radio and this radio. So this now will extend the network down to this radio. Then you can bring internet into this building. So this is what is common in this part of the world now. That is what we have in a solar. Those I don't know if you can hear me. That's what we have in a solar. We have there's a tall mast there.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so there's a tall mast there that is pointing to, I don't know the ISP you guys are using now. It used to be hoops and
Usa Simbanet.
Simbanet, thank you.
Yeah.
So this radio on your mast has a line of sight connection. So if there's any tall building in this place now that blocks this, that obstructs the line of connection, then there will be no what they call it, there will be no line of sight again. They have to change the position of the radio again. So there must be no obstruction in between the station and the access point. So the radio in your end on the mast, your radio is acting as an access point and it's facing a radio that is acting as a station. So I get to know of this when I did a configuration, that's about 3 or 4 years ago, so during the mass configuration. So once there's an obstruction, a tall building in between, then it's not going to work. Because what happens is this. They have locked this access points, this AP connected to this station, they have locked it. On this end, they lock it. There's a locking feature when you're configuring it. So there's also a locking feature here. So that when the wind blows, so during the storm, when it's about to rain, so the radio does not lose connectivity between them. So that they won't lose connectivity when the weather is bad. That's the essence. So this is also what we use in our broadband internet these days as well. The likes of those of us that are using MTN, Glo, Airtel, we are connect our mobile phones, our SIMs are connecting wirelessly to the nearest radio on the mast. There's a mast somewhere close to your house that your SIM is connecting to, and that's why you're able to browse. So, like I said yesterday, it does. That's how you modem. That's what they call modem. Modem. This MO stands for modulation. This DEM stands for demodulation. Modulation into when you're trying to browse, because your SIM is a voice SIM, right? It converts your data into voice. MTN network is a voice network. Glo network is a voice network. Nine Mobile network is a voice network. So it converts your data into voice. That's modulation. It modulates it into voice, sends it through MTN network. And when it gets to the receiving end, it demodulates it again. It will not demodulate it and convert it into the data. If it is not modulated, it will not be able to, the traffic will not be able to pass through MTN's network. So that's what happens. That's where we can use our SIM to, basically the SIM is designed for voice. So this is what happens most times. Right, this is what happens. So that's why we can use cellular technology by a smartphone. So that's how it is on this wireless broadband service that computer networking has provided for us. So talking of network security, great. So I don't know if some of us here have seen what a firewall looks like. A firewall is a network security device that does a lot of work. So before now, we used to have a separate device for IDS. That's what they call IDS. IDS is an intrusion detection system. IDS does not block threats. It only detects, as the name implies, intrusion detection system. So we have a separate device for IPS. This is intrusion prevention system. This one is going to prevent. But before it prevents, it has to detect first before preventing. So we have also ATP prevention, as advanced threat protection. What are the advanced threat protection? Threats that have not yet been discovered. How is this possible? It's possible using AI. And how does AI detect this? By checking, it sends it to an environment called sandstorm. Essentially, sandstorm. Sandstorm is an environment where malicious softwares are being tested. It checks the characteristics, it checks the way it behaves, it checks what's inside, the payload. And if it passes, then it sends back to the firewall to pass it. So there are also other network threats too as well. A lot of them. Viruses. Virus is just one. It's just like the most popular. There are bots. There's what they call bots. This bot is even the most deadly one. So the bots can even form a network. We call that network of bots. We call it botnets. So what firewall does is a firewall now. Before now, there used to be a device for all of these services. So, but now firewalls have been built to have all these services embedded in them. And that's why we call them UTM now. We now refer to firewalls as UTM. That's a unified threat machine. So because all these features, the IDS, IPS, it's everything is embedded into it now. So we just want firewall and a security license. Most cybersecurity companies now have security license that you need to buy on your firewall. They call it full guard. So if you buy a full guard security license, you can see all the activities that are happening on your network. So based on the predefined rules and policies that you have created so far, you can actually block what's coming from the internet into your network. You can filter them out. Whatever it is that is malicious will be filtered. It will be blocked. So the host in your network will not be compromised. What are the hosts? Your laptops, your desktops, your servers, your phones, your tabs, right? So before now, it used to be believed that that threats coming from outside the network are very deadly. We believe our employees are not hackers. So hackers are people that we don't know that are on the internet that are trying to steal information of the company. But insider threats is more deadly. It is gone to the employee, an employee that has been in the system for 10 years, 15 years, that has not been promoted, can actually do something that can sabotage the entire thing. And this is even it even seems to be more disastrous than the threats coming from the outside world. Why? Because every employee has some level of access. The bad guy on the outside does not have any access at all. Before he can have access, he needs to do a lot of things, right? But this person inside the system is an insider. So to an extent, he has an access depending on his job role. So the access, the kind of the more level or the more access he has, the more disastrous the threat that is on the system will be. So security networks, when you're securing networks, you have to look at security. Security has to be a holistic thing. You have to look at security with a holistic kind of approach, right? From physical to logical, to all this. Like I said, we have 7 layers in networking. So each layer has their security that we need to implement. That's the security measures that need to be implemented for your network to be safe. When you implement layer 1 security, you have to implement layer 2 security, layer 3 till layer 7. So the network security that is implemented must take into account the environment while securing data, but still allow quality of service. Yes, as is expected for network. I mentioned what quality of service is to us yesterday. Without quality of service, voice and video traffic will not scale well on the network. And there's hardly any network today that can function effectively without voice and video. So that's it about security. So talking of security, okay, yeah, I mentioned this earlier. You can see we have viruses, we have worms, we have Trojan also. These are the ones. These Trojan they're also barely. They act like they are legitimate files, but they are not legitimate. There's spyware, there's hardware, right? There's 0-day attack. 0-day, did I mention the 0-day yesterday? 0-day is okay. Let me give an example. Microsoft usually, I don't know if you heard of Patch Tuesdays. Microsoft release patches for every Windows operating system on the second Tuesday of every month. That's why I call it Patch Tuesday. Take, for instance, a new patch was rolled out today and people have installed it. When you install a new Windows update, it is not all the updates that are major updates, so some are just patches. A patch is actually designed to address a vulnerability. When the software is vulnerable to attack, a patch is usually released to address that vulnerability so they don't attack the system. So if it happens today that you downloaded a Windows update today and your system has been patched, few days later, maybe 1 week later, that patch that you downloaded and installed now became vulnerable 1 week later. Today is what, 26, for instance. Your system is up to date. You have the latest Microsoft updates. So on the 30th of this month, hackers were now able to find their way around that patch that you downloaded on the 26th. So your system now becomes vulnerable. And Microsoft is not going to release a patch to address this vulnerability until in 2 weeks' time. Do you understand? So the time between when a vulnerability was discovered and when Microsoft now designed a patch to address that vulnerability is called 0 day. Because it is 0 day because nobody's protecting you. Do you understand? So that's how it is. So we have threat actor attacks. Who are threat actors? Threat actors are the bad guys, the hackers. So we also have denial of service. These are all security. There are security measures that have to be put in place to stop all these things that I see here, all these kind of attacks. There are external threats, identity theft. Somebody can be impersonating you online, right? They will send a mail. They will masquerade your name as the mail, but it's not you that is actually sending it. Maybe it's one Indian guy somewhere on the internet just trying to play around. So that's how it is. So there's data interception too. Data interception, this is an example of man-in-the-middle attack. M-I-T, okay, man in the middle, yeah, MITM, where somebody sends a data and in the sender sends it, the receiver will receive. But before the receiver receives it, the data has been intercepted by a bad guy in between. You can even have a copy of the file of the data before it sends it, it relays it back to the receiver. So the sender in this case does not know. And the receiver doesn't even know as well that something has happened in between. And that's why encryption technologies are used most times between the sender and receiver. So these are all external threats. Viruses, spyware, 0 day, denial of service. There's even distributed denial of service. That one is even more deadly. It's more deadly than denial of service. Because that one is a very coordinated attack. It's usually done by bots. Sorry, I'm going a bit deep at this very first topic. So as we are advancing, you get to know why I'm just detailing everything here. I'm just supposed to only mention this to you guys now. But it's better I explain to you so that when we get to the topic, it would be understandable. So you just easily understand it. Right? We are still going to go into configurations as well. So it's just good you know what you want to configure first before diving into it. So talking of internal threats, see, internal threats are PCs that are lost or devices that are lost. Somebody can come to office and tell you that he was robbed, whereas he was not robbed. He probably has sold the company's information to some bad guys because he has been in the system for 15 years and they did not promote him. Right? So he can actually sell the company's data that is on the system to the bad guys for a very huge amount of money. If they offer him probably 20 or 30 million naira just to save, to have access to email accounts, all the email accounts of the MD and CEO like that in the company. He's going to do it because he will just look at it that I've been in the system for long and I don't even have up to 500K in my account. And these guys are offering me 30 million naira. He will just do it and resign. So cases like that too are very common. Then accidental misuse by employee. Yes, employees too. That's why this is usually it happens in many ways actually. So the essence of having cybersecurity awareness is to address this particular issue. There's what they call a bait. A bait is a case where an attacker is trying to get into a company. For instance, he's trying to get into a company, but he doesn't know how to. And in the first phase of an attack is reconnaissance. Reconnaissance is when you need to gather information about the people you want to target, about the company. So he's been trying to check LinkedIn to see if he can get, hold of anybody's account, but he couldn't. All right. So what you will now do, sometimes they do this, they do a bait. They will just infect a flash drive. They will infect a flash drive and throw it into the company's premises. So when you throw this flash drive into the company's premises, an employee that is just resuming the office in the morning will see the flash drive and be like, oh, this flash drive probably belonging to somebody. Let me go and check to see what's inside. And it's very new. It could be that it fell from one of our employees. So if he picks it, he will definitely want to check to see what's inside the flash drive. He will insert it into the system, and that is it. So it could be that some auto-run files have been installed on the flash drive. So maybe he inserts it into the system. The commands will start running. So cases like that are supposed to be reported to the IT department. You get. So you don't just put things like that into an official system because it's a company environment. Also, this case, I've seen case of an employee who has a Facebook account and is always posting images of him in the office online. Right? So he has his laptop screen at his back. He has his email. There's an email on his screen at his back, and he was standing beside the laptop taking pictures. He posted it online. So everything that is appearing on the screen was seen by the bad guys. People should not miss these opportunities that they have like that. So that those are part of they're part of the ways that insiders cause access to all the bad guys. So malicious employees too are also to be taken care of. That's why we have, like I said, people that have been in the system for 30 years, 40 years, and they're still in the same level, they've not been promoted. And those people that have been the mindset of my boss did not like me, doesn't used to promote me. These guys just came, they promoted them twice, me, I'm still where I am. Those kind of employees, we need to be very careful with them. Because they can have a family member who is an IT person and be like, okay, just give me what is it called? You can say, give me the email of your MD. Just give me the email address of your MD. Or give me the email address of your GM, or just one person. See, all it takes to infect or to be compromised is just a click. It may not be an email that you are clicking. It may just be some sort of files, maybe a PDF file or something. So malicious employees can go any length to make sure they retaliate, and they will never say anything to anybody. They will cause havoc, and people will start, the IT team will start running Etaskater around, not knowing that it's caused by somebody like this. So, and that's where the idea of having LPA came into play. They call it least privilege access, where it's a kind of access where every employee is having only the access that they need to work. Only the access that they need to work. Not like somebody in the front desk having access to accounts, or somebody in logistics having access to HR files, like that. So with the idea of least privilege access, this can be managed. So even if the person system is compromised, right, it's only going to affect that particular portion of access that it has. It doesn't affect the entire organization. So that's how it is. Then there are many security solutions that we have. In fact, some are even still current, they're emerging, right? But we have many in place to address all these external and internal threats that I just mentioned. Antivirus is just one of them. Anti-spyware too is, yeah, you can install that too. We have firewall filtering. Yes, this majorly does the work, right? It filters unwanted traffic. On the firewall, you can configure a lot of things. You can configure access control list, this ACL, access control list. Access control list is just a list of policies, control policies that have been created to allow or deny access to your network. There's what they call application control too. It helps you to manage POA, it's what they call POAs, potentially unwanted applications. So it helps you to manage all these things. So when someone is using an application that is not whitelisted or that is not allowed in the organization, the firewall will block it. So that's how it is. So there's a lot of security solution. There's endpoint security too. We call it EDR. Like in my company, we are using EDR, endpoint detection and response. What this does is it detects any malicious activity or a malicious file on the person's system, and it responds to it without intervention of we, the IT support guys. It responds to it. It will just isolate the system immediately. It will isolate the system and send us an alert, like an email alert, that this system was compromised and it has been isolated. Then it will tell you the information of what happened. To tell you what happened. The name, the username, the machine name, when the malicious file entered the system, through what? Through a flash drive, for instance, to tell you that it's a flash drive. And the name of the kind of virus, if it's a worm or a Trojan or a virus or anything, it will tell you the name. So when we see it, immediately the person will be locked out of the network. So this EDR, what it does is it automatically sends a broadcast packet to everybody on the network. Other users will not know. It only send it to the PCs that they should not respond to any request from this particular PC that has been infected. So the user will just notice that he's locked out. He cannot browse, he cannot do anything, he can't send mail, he can't do anything. That's the first thing. So EDR is AI powered as well. So EDR is one of the it's one of the next generation security, so endpoint security solutions that are currently on it's currently in use by many companies. So it works hand in hand with a firewall. Firewall stands at the perimeter of your network, checks your internet access, inbound and outbound internet access. It monitors inbound traffic, what is coming in. It monitors outbound traffic that is going out, right? So that's what it does basically. So on the system, if it now happens that, okay, this person is trying to use a file that was not downloaded, it was probably copied from a flash drive. Because if it was to be downloaded, the firewall is going to block it, that this is malicious. So when the person did not download the file, he copied it from a flash drive. So endpoint security is on the person's system to take care of that. So security is usually approached holistically, not just from a particular point of view. You don't see security from the user's view. You don't see it from the hacker's view. You have to look at it every minute. And that's why it's more like saying you have a compound. You have a compound and you want to secure the compound. You have a door to your apartment. That's number one. After having the door to your apartment, you have a gate downstairs. you still have a barbed wire on your fence. After having all this, you have a security guard, you have one aboki outside the gate that's still checking who is coming in and who is coming out. So this is like a multi-factor authentication. So the thief or the bad guy that will pass through their aboki, fly your fence through the barbed wire, and still break your gates before accessing your door to enter your apartment. Ha. That means the guy is probably using a voodoo or something. Maybe he disappeared in. Do you get? So security have to be everywhere. Now, still talking of securities, in Cisco, there's what we call access control lists. These are just policies. They are policies that are created to allow and deny. I'll be showing you how to create this in Cisco. We do that in most firewalls too. When you have a firewall, you have to create policies. You don't create the policy, allow and deny policy. Do you understand? So most of the policies we create on firewalls, they are not always created with the bad guys in mind. Sometimes they are created just to make employees productive. I've seen cases where they said IT should block YouTube access, right, between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So anything from 5:01 in the evening, YouTube will be opened. So all these things, to achieve them, you have to, what the firewall understands is policies. So intrusion prevention too, any malicious file that is probably to be downloaded by somebody in the system, it's usually blocked. Somebody wants to send a phishing file to you. The firewall sees it because they have to pass through the firewall to get to the person system. So the firewall will block it. It prevents it. And to log it and send an alert to the IT person that this file was sent from this person and it has been blocked because it is malicious. So we have VPNs as well. VPN is also a very, very great security solution. It's a way of connecting securely to your company's resources, especially for teleworkers, people that are working remotely, working from your house, you're working from from your home office, or you're working from the field, right? Or you're working from a branch office and you want to access some resources or some softwares in the main head office. So most times you can only do this through VPN. There's a lot of encryption algorithms that are in place for VPN that have been put in place before you can use VPN. So most times users just connect their laptop, they just click on it and put their username and password and they connect. A lot has happened actually before the user can start connecting. Right. So the study of network security starts with a clear understanding of the underlying switching and routing infrastructure. So which is what this course is about. You are going to learn a lot about switches. You are going to learn a lot about routers. So basically what a router does is the route. We learn a lot about firewalls too. Right. So how packet flows from the user system to the access point, to the switch, to the firewall, to the internet. So when you understand how it works, then you can understand how to secure it. That's the only way to understand security. If you don't understand how a solution works, you will not be able to understand how you will not be able to secure it. Okay, so I think this is the last module. Yes, we are almost done talking of the IT professional. So this is the Cisco certification track for people that wants to, get to the top ladder in the Cisco certification track. We have the CCNA, which is what we are doing currently. So when you're done with this, you can always do the Cisco specialist certification. Then you move to the Cisco certified network professional, then Cisco certified internet network experts. This is the highest echelon in Cisco, right? So they have these two DevNet. This is for software developers. right? So we have the specialist, which is the intermediate, they have the professional, and they have the expert level for it too. So, but this is very, very common for cybersecurity people. You just need this. And for this, you may and you may not, you may and you may not, right? So that is, but every of them is relevant. Because as you advance with this, you are digging deep into only Cisco solutions. Only Cisco solutions. Cisco security solutions, to be precise. But with CCNA gives you a general understanding of other kind of OEMs. When I say OEMs, I'm talking of other organization equipment manufacturers, people that are also providing cybersecurity solutions like Fortinet, like Sophos, what name it. We have Hawaii, we have Sonic Wall, and a lot of them like that, Checkpoint. So having a clear and an understanding of CCNA would make all these solutions easier for you. So if you now choose not to, embark on this, you can still proceed with, Cisco certifications. So, but this is the foundation of everything. Once this is crossed, you have a speed kind of access to all this. So the CCNP, majorly, what a lot of people don't understand is this. So the topics you are doing in CCNA is what we also do in this place and this place, even in CCIE. Right? The only difference is that here you're learning the foundational, you're learning the foundations. So at this level, they are going deep. At this level, they're also going deeper and to the highest of it. Right? Here you'll be learning, take for instance, you learn about OSPF. You just tell you routing protocols. You learn about OSPF. Open shorted path first is a routing protocol. He just tell you what it is and how it works. You're not configuring anything on OSPF in this place. So when you get to this place, you learn about OSPF single area, a single area OSPF. Here you learn about OSPF multi-area. You learn about route redistribution, a lot of things. So they are going at the topics you learn here is what we still learn, but they are going deep. And you'll be doing more hands-on labs in this. So that's just the difference. So that's it about IT professionals. So Cisco have a website that they use they're using it. Let me not say they used. They are still using it. It's currently in use. I remember there was a time I was using it like that. So they are using it for to bridge the gap between people who are already certified and employers that are looking for certified engineers. They call it the talent bridge machine. You can just check it online, type Cisco talent bridge machine, sign up with it. It will take you to your NetAcad account, sign up with it, and you see employers. So when you sign up, anytime there are needs for engineers who have your certification, Cisco will forward it to you, then you can apply and definitely get the job. So they call it Cisco Talent Bridge Matching Engine. So that's it. Yeah. So this is just a lab to reflect on your research. So that's all about the first module. So far, what have we learned in this module? We learned about the use of networks, like that we are connected like never before. Networking has made the world borderless. With just few clicks, you can call somebody that is outside the continent that you have. With just few clicks, and in few seconds, the person will get to pick your call, and you guys be having conversations like you are sitting next to each other. So every devices that participate on the network are referred to as hosts, right? And diagrams of networks are usually referred to as physical and logical topologies. Right? So we have the local area network, which is the network connecting few users within a small geographical area. Then we have the wide area network that connects users that spans across cities. So we have the small office, home office, internet kind of connections, and there are different kind of internet access. We have the digital subscriber line. This is for small offices, or should I say SMEs, businesses that are not big. They can use the cellular internet, which is what we use, like the use of MTN router that uses a SIM card, right? So satellite is used in areas where there are no network access, maybe in the deserts or in the sea or something. So dial-up telephone, internet kind of access is way, way old. We still use it on part of the world, but it's very old and we don't use it here in Nigeria. So for businesses, they use dedicated lease line. Yes, having a dedicated link connecting the base station of the ISP down to the business building. So we have metro Ethernet too, using Ethernet to connect ones. And we have the business digital subscriber lines, which is a DSL that has more bandwidth. Then we have satellites too. Some businesses using satellites. It depends on where their business presence is. So we also talked about network architecture. Yes. So we talked about the kind of services that a server can run, the likes of, having the emails, DHCP, web services, and the likes like that. So protocols are what makes all these services to talk to each other. We're going to learn about protocols. Protocols are like they are like the language, they're like the rules that enables these devices to talk to each other. And that's why somebody can be using a Dell laptop to send a mail, and the other person is using an HP laptop, is receiving the mail. So you get. So before now, there was nothing like that. When it was just IT, you have to use a Dell laptop, a Dell switch, a Dell. The person that wants to receive it will have to be Dell. Like it was just there has to be uniformity in the kind of devices that you guys are using to send and receive messages. So when networking came, that was stopped because some protocols and standards were now created, and the regulatory bodies I mentioned earlier, I mentioned the likes of IETF, Internet Engineering Task Force. I mentioned IAB, Internet Architecture Board, and there are likes like that. There's IEEE, which is Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. Most of them came together to form a standard that every networking device or every device that needs to participate on the network must follow. They must understand that protocol, be it HP or Dell or Lenovo or anything. So every device now, or laptop or desktop or whatever device, they are built to understand these protocols. And that's why what the device you are using to communicate doesn't matter. I'm using a phone to send a data to somebody that's using a laptop. So if I'm using Mac and I'll send you a data, I'm using Windows, I'll receive it. Why? Because all these gadgets, irrespective of who is manufacturing them, understand the protocols. They are built to understand these protocols. So that's it. So we talked about the 4 characteristics of a network. The 4 major characteristics that when a network have it, we are going to say that the network is reliable. So a network that does not have this is not a reliable network. One is fault tolerance. Fault tolerance is a way of avoiding single point of failure on your network. A network where one device on the network goes bad and the entire network is down. That kind of network is not a fault tolerant network. Scalability is the idea of you having a bigger picture in mind. So as the businesses grow, you can add more users and more devices on the existing infrastructure, and it will not affect productivity. Quality of service has to do with traffic types, video and voice traffics, because they are on high demand today. So the quality of service is in place. It helps video and voice traffics to scale properly. Then we look at security as well too. Talked about it. That it's of paramount importance. Else, everything that we're discussing this morning just be a mess. So we talked about the new trend in networking, BYOD, bring your own device. That's a new concept. The online collaboration tools, the likes of Teams, Cisco WebEx, Avaya Workspace, and many of them like that too, that now helps us to virtually have our meetings. In fact, they have online meeting rooms. There's a virtual room now, right? That people call into and they get to collaborate without having to go to the office to do your physical meetings like we used to do traditionally, where we sit right in front of each other in the boardroom to talk. So video communications tool is now possible through computer networking technology, through other informal applications like WhatsApp. There's WhatsApp, there's Vimeo, there's what is software called? Is it Vibes or something? Forgotten the name of the software. So many softwares are actually informal softwares. Actually, they are built for personal purposes, not official yet. So we have the official softwares too that can be used for video communications. Right. So we talked about cloud computing, the public cloud, the private cloud, and the hybrid cloud. Right. Like I said, the cloud is just somebody's network. Right. Since most companies they are trying to cut down the cost of IT. They're trying to cut down the how will I put it, the capital expenditure. The cost of getting IT devices are very high. One, the cost of maintaining it also is very high. So cloud computing is helping to eradicate that high cost of acquiring those devices and the high cost of maintaining them. All you just need to do is to pay them a small amount every month, and with your internet access, you can access those devices on the cloud. That's all. So they are cutting your capital expenditure to operating expenditure. Right. So we talked about the internal and external threats too, as well. And then, the types of virus, of course, the antivirus that can be used to combat with them, the anti-spyware, the firewall, and other intrusion prevention or VPN technologies that can be used to mitigate. So the truth is, any device on the internet is hackable, right? So by having all these requirements, all these security measures in place will save you a lot. That's just it. So the CCNA Certified Network Associate certification demonstrates your knowledge of the foundational technologies. It verifies that you have the foundational technology skill set to manage and secure enterprise networks. That's what it does. I think that's where the end of this session is. So please ask your questions. Feel free to ask the questions. Feel free to ask your questions.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yeah, Thank you for the class and everything. Well, for me, I don't really have much question, but it's just one thing I want to get. When you were talking
Okay.
about the router and the switches there, you mentioned one that is multi-layer. That is a
Yes,
multi
multi-layer
switch,
switch.
which
Yes.
is a layer 3 switch. I don't think I've really come across that switch. Is it a switch that they use regularly or how? Because I
Yes.
don't think
I
I've
I
seen that switch before.
yeah, I have let me see. I think I have a picture of it that I configured recently. It looks pretty much like your normal switch, the normal switch that you know. The only difference is the model. You only know it through the model. So when you are seeing
Okay.
2960, when you are seeing 2950, 2960, automatically you know it's a layer 2 switch. If you are seeing 3650, 3660, 3750, know that they are layer 3 switches.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
trying to see if I have a picture of it and just show you guys to see what it looks like. So the configuration is also the same. It's just few commands. If you want to configure it as a layer 2, by default it's on layer 2. But if you want to configure it as a layer 3, you just use the command no switch ports. When you use the command no switch port, it converts that interface. It converts that port to an interface. Sorry.
Okay.
Then I don't know if you're getting my point.
Yes, yes, I am.
Okay, I think I've seen one. Let me share it to the group. So looking at this, please confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
So this is my console cable. This is, have you seen a console cable before? Look at it, this yellow,
Yes,
sorry, this
blue.
sky blue color cable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it usually comes in the carton of a Cisco switch. It comes with some switches, it doesn't come with some, depending on the model of the switch anyways. Usually comes with it. So I was using it to set up this is what an intercom looks like for voice calls. So I was trying to set up this phone, and this is the Cisco phone, sorry, the Cisco router. This is what the router looks like. This is the router.
Mm.
Sorry, I had to bend it like this because I the power cable was not long enough, so I had to just put it like that. Right. So
Okay.
this is a voice router where we're just using it for voice actually. It has a voice license on it to do, they call it Cisco CUCM, like Cisco Unified Communications Manager. It has this license on it. So it's used in controlling these intercoms.
Oh, okay. But sorry, there are some intercoms that doesn't use routers.
Yes. The intercom that don't do, we have wireless intercoms, actually. So they have a cloud, they are using the internet, they're using internet, they are pointing to a space on the cloud.
Oh,
They are pointing to
because
a
I
space on the cloud. The likes of Avaya, I don't know if you guys have used Avaya before. Avaya has they has the cloud, they have a cloud space where you can actually go into set up your phones. So when somebody calls, let me push this thing. Pins. Yeah. Let me use my pins. This is cloud space, for instance. Right? This is company
yeah.
A. company A, head office, let me say HQ. And this is company B. Company A is in Lagos. Company B is in Abuja. Company C is in, let's say, Port Harcourt. And they have Avaya phones in them. So this is the cloud. This is the internet. Right? So there's a space called Avaya space in the cloud. So because you guys are paying for the voice license, they'll give you a portion of it. And you can use to set up phones. You use the phones, you're using the phone serial number. Serial numbers are they are very, very important. And they are very, very powerful. Serial number of the devices that are using your network. It is the serial numbers that we use in configuring those what they call those access points you have in the solo. Those what they call them?
Miracle access points.
Meraki, exactly. It was the serial number we used in configuring them. Those Meraki APs I see there. So serial numbers they are as important as your MAC address because no two devices can have the same serial number on Earth.
Okay. Yeah.
Just like no two devices can have the same MAC address, right? So every serial number and MAC address are unique to a particular device. So when you buy the space here and you put your voice configuration and everything, so you are adding for the phones, we are using 50 phones here. Those 50 phones, you are adding their serial numbers to this guy and you're linking them. So what they need is just internet access. Your DHCP server will give the phones IP, normal IP, and they have the client software on them. So when you call with this phone, the call goes through to their buyer space before it now goes down to your branch office. If you are calling somebody in this branch office, they too can have about 30 phones, for instance. This can have about 10 phones. So the call goes to their buyer space and is now routed back to this person. Same thing happens here if you are calling from company A to company C. It goes to their buyer space and is routed back to this guy. The cloud is always on, like 100%. The cloud never goes down. Do you understand? So this is just the way,
Yes.
but you are paying a monthly fee for using this, right? There's a monthly fee that you're going to be paying for using this. So, but if you are using this particular model, this way we did this, we only got a one-off license from Cisco, and we configured it on this Cisco router. So what we did in this case was to use VPN to point all locations to each other. So there's a VPN tunnel from HQ. Let's assume this is let me show you how it looks like. So we have the internet in this case. Sorry, we have the internet in this case. So we have company A and we have company B. So company A is using, let's say they're using SimbaNet. They have their own internet. They're using SimbaNet here. Company B is using, they have their own internet. They're using MTN. Right? So don't forget that the internet, this internet that you're seeing is the network of ISPs. ISPs have their way of connecting to each other. It's a requirement by NCC. Every ISP must be connected to two other ISPs. So that if the main link goes down, the backup link is still active. So now we have a VPN on this firewall here, on this company A's firewall. Company A has a firewall, company B2 has a firewall. So there's a VPN tunnel pointing like this to this place. right? So when people in company A try to make a call with this intercom, the call is routed through the VPN tunnel and it gets to this place within seconds. Like it takes a fraction of a second. If you call immediately to start ringing, because it's real time and because quality of service is in place, so preferential treatment is given to voice and video traffic because they are sensitive to delays. So when you call, before you know, brrr, it's ringing immediately. So that is what is happening in this case here. So immediately the configuration was done, the phone was rebooted. You can see it's showing phone not registered. It's trying to establish to get JCP IP from the router. And after a couple of minutes, you see that it should come up. See now it's up. Right? So that's how it is. So this is what a switch looks like. This is a switch. This is a new Cisco switch. It's a 48 port switch and it's gigabit PoE. Right? So this switch is a multi-layer switch. It can has layer 2 and it has layer 3. Now, by default, it's a layer 2 by default. You can see my console cable is connected to it here. My console cable is connected to the console ports. Right? So see these ports, see all these ports that I are seeing, these ports. It's a port because it's layer 2, it's just doing layer 2. So I can configure this port now to be an interface. If I want to assign IP to it, you can't assign IP to a port, but you can assign IP to an interface. Once I assign IP to it, it becomes an interface. So the only way, if you want to disable it from being a port, you want to convert it to an interface, you just use the command no switch port, and that's all. And if you want to convert it back to switch to a port, just use the command switch ports. Is to convert it back to switch. It becomes a layer 2 back. So they look pretty much like the same, but their functionality and capability is different. So, but in this case, I'm using it as a layer 2 because I have a layer 3 device. I have a firewall that is doing layer 3 for me. So I'm just using this as a layer 2. And that's how it is too in the solo. That Meraki switch, I don't know, there was a time they said they wanted to change the switch to Meraki. It was Catalyst when I was still there.
Yes, we've changed it. We are using Meraki now.
So Meraki is a cloud managed switch.
Yep.
It can also act, yes, it's a cloud managed switch, and it can also act as layer 3, but they are using it as a layer 2. It depends on your design. You can design what you can decide what you want. It's your network as a network engineer. You can decide that you want to use layer 2 here. I don't want to all layer 3 functionality should be moved to the firewall straight. So that's how it is. So are there any other questions?
For me, that's all.
We are going to be moving to the next topic, which is let me see what chapter actually is.
First, sorry, let me just ask,
Okay.
Sorry, so on the access control list part, who determine what an access control list is meant to be?
Okay, it is you, the network engineer. So the thing is, some companies have their policies. Okay, chapter 2, we are going to be doing basic switch and end device configuration. Okay, this is great. Learning about the modes in switches and routers. So every company have their own policy. They have their security policy. So security, in line with that security policy, those policies that are creating on the firewall are created in line with the company's security policy. Okay. And they are meant to be reviewed from time. We usually review them from time to time.
I guess at that point too, other regulatory body policy, Fabian SIT, and the likes are also
Okay,
put
so
in implementation.
yeah, there's a template on every firewall. Most firewalls have a template for these cybersecurity frameworks, right? So when you activate them, in fact, if you want to spool your report, you can spool reports. They spool reports based on this NSIT and other kind of frameworks like that. So when you want to when you're creating policies, they call it wizards. There are wizards that helps you to you just click on it and you click on next, you define what you want, you just click on next. It helps you to, it walks you through the phase of configuring those policies. And when it is done, you can actually, when you go to your reporting portal, you can see clearly yourself the kind of report you want to spool. Are you spooling the report based on the normal NDPR, or because each firewall, depending on the country that you are using it from, they have the templates for each country. Because the kind of, how will I put it, there are different regulatory bodies that are
Yeah,
managing the data security of different country. Do you understand? So if you are using, that's why when you are setting up your firewall, you have to set up the countries properly. So if it is supported, if your country is supported before purchase, the OEM should tell you that it's not supported in this country. I've seen a solution where, yes, it's an HRMS solution that a company wants to use, but they didn't end up using it because the solution does not calculate employee tax properly. It's an Indian solution. He was using this Indian way of calculating tax. So it's not in compliance with our own FIRS, whatever. And they didn't end up using it. Like they had to look for something else, another solution, another HRMS solution to use.